let's go to named ranges first, right? So there are two things that I'll cover in this subtopic, which is name box and the name manager, right? So let's say I have 1 and 2 here. I take these two cells. I can go to this name box, which is on the left side of the function bar, and I can give it any name, right? So let's say numbers, right? What I can do now is I can use this name in any of the functions uh, that I will be using within this workbook, right? So let's say numbers, right? So I'm summing numbers and you automatically see that 1 and 2 are auto selected because I have used this name, right? So it's that simple. We can use name box to name a range. It could be a row, it could be a column, it could be entire worksheet, it could be an entire range, as in uh, consecutive cells, right? And then we have name manager. So name manager is available in the formulas tab. And what name manager does is, as the name suggests, it manages all the names that you will be giving to any of the ranges, right? So right now I have numbers as one of the names, right? So I can go into name manager and you will see I have table and number both with their ranges, right? And consec and I can basically edit these if I want to, except for table, which is uneditable for now. Okay, so in numbers you will see that I have values and it refers to, and scope is the workbook, which basically means that within this workbook Excel knows that numbers is a named range that I can use anywhere in a formula or otherwise, right? So I can use that directly also. For example, if I say numbers, I can simply do this. It will spill out from the original cell and it will give me the values of the entire range, right? This is again a very good use of the formulas. So Excel, this is also called an array formula, which means that I don't have to restrict myself to a single cell for the output. I can go out of that cell and give the output to whichever range it's necessary, right? Okay, so now let's use name manager to define a name, right? So I can go to the name manager and I can do the same thing with define name and so on, right? I can say new, right? And I can give it a meaningful name, let's say text, right? And then I can say that I want this range. I'm going to say this, right? Uh, Let me remove this first, and then let's say I select all of this, right? And click OK. Right? So now you would see that I have text as one of the names in the name manager. Right? How can I use it? I can do uh, data validation. So I can go in the data tab and I have data validation here. Right? Within data validation, I have list, and within list, I can do text. Right? And just like that, you have a drop down of all the text that was in the name manager. The good thing is this will change as soon as you change the range within the name value. So let's say I go here and say test here, right? And I go to the name manager and I say I will edit the text, right? I go here and instead of 11 I just say 12, right? And click OK. And I go back to named ranges, I will see test will appear here, right? So it becomes easy for you to manage these names because you first of all know where exactly will I find all these ranges, all these named ranges, right? So you will know how to edit them. And secondly, which is dependent on you, is that you will be naming these ranges logically so that you understand exactly what am I referring to as a range when I see the name, right? With this, let's go to the last subtopic, which is cell reference. What is a cell reference? It is, let me give you a direct example. So if I say equals to and I say this A2 is reference to the cell A2, column A, row 2, right? Now, if I press enter here and I copy this formula and I go down and paste it, it's not relative anymore, it becomes absolute, right? This was A2 and this is A3. Exactly why this happened is what we call as a relative shift of columns and rows, right? So from C2, okay, this cell, I copied the formula one row down. So Excel knows that if you are copying a formula and if you are going some number of columns left or right or some number of rows top to bottom, right, it will shift the formulas in the similar manner, right? So let's say I have a test here, right? Test right, test bottom, test bottom right, right? So if I say equals to here and say test here, right? If I go one to the right, it will take, it will shift from original uh, cell reference one to the right. If I paste the formula one down, it will take the, it will shift the original input one down. And if I take the original formula and put it here, it will give me this one, right? So you can see how the referencing works, right? Excel knows exactly what is happening and it will shift right or left or bottom or top in the formula references as well. And this will happen with all the references that you have given in the formula. So that's the relative referencing, right? So let me delete this, right? And then we have absolute, right? What is absolute? It means that no matter what, the reference to the cell will not change. But how do we achieve it? So I'll start from the beginning. I'll say equals to, and I'll say A3, right? Now if I go one down, you will see it basically went as relative referencing, but I'll do a small change now, right? And the small change is dollar sign. If I put a dollar sign before the column and the row, they basically freeze one down, right? So you would see it remain A3 no matter where I paste it. A3, right? A3, 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 and A3, right? And that is absolute reference for you. Very simple to understand when you have already understood relative, right? Absolute is absolute. There is no change. Okay. Now let me delete these as well and I'll go to mixed. So mixed is what? So if I have mixed here, so I have two places. One is the column and the other one is row, right? Relative means that I have no dollar sign in front of any of the rows and columns in the cell reference. Absolute means I have dollar sign in both. Mixed means that I don't have dollar sign in at least one of them, right? So this means that A will be fixed, but 4 will not be, right? So if I copy from here to here, you would see A4 became A3, right? But if I copy it from here to here, right, the A will remain the same. If I copy from here to here, see, Okay, so this is column cell reference, which is mixed, right? But if I delete the dollar sign from A and put it in row, let me delete the other ones, and let me just put test 1, test 2, just so that I have something when I copy and paste stuff, right? So if I put it here to here, you would see mixed shifted to test 3 from here to here, right? So A4 became B4. But if I do up or down, it remains A4, right? And this is basically mixed cell reference for you. Now, when we move to the formulas, you will find that these concepts, even though are much easier to understand, they are uh, a little harder when you try and implement it, because these things are new to you, right? So we will try and give you practice exercises of all the things that we have done so far, right? So that you have a solid base and understanding before you start the formulas.